Welcome back, everybody. It's Zach here, bringing us another fantasy football video. This time I'm going over the starts and sits for Week 12. I'll be going over the first 6 games of the week in this video, and then the final 7 games of the week in a following video that'll come out tomorrow. We got 6 teams on bye this week, so that means we only have 13 games to watch this weekend, and of course that means that we have a lot of really tough start-sit questions to answer. A lot of us are missing some really important pieces. We got the Falcons on bye. You're missing Bijan Robinson. A lot of really good teams, really good players are unavailable to us, so we obviously have to make some tough decisions this week, and it's crunch time right now. A lot of us are in must-win situations, so hopefully I can help you guys out here. If you guys do have any specific start-sit questions, just let me know in the comments. I'll do my best to help you out there, and should just have a lot of good games to talk about here, so let's just get into it. Starting things off with Thursday Night Football here, we've got the Steelers at the Browns. For the Steelers, I think Najee and Pickens should both absolutely be in lineups. Najee, not necessarily a must-start if you're somehow stacked at the running back spot, but Najee's a lock for 20 touches. Should be a game environment where they can score. We just saw the Browns give up 40 fantasy points to Taysom Hill, who basically played running back last week. There's a lot of reason to be optimistic about what Najee can do this week, so I'd be playing him and Pickens for sure. Probably nobody else, though. I don't want to stream Russ in this matchup. We sort of got trapped last week. It could be a tough divisional game. There's supposedly going to be some weather here. So keep an eye on that, but I still think you're going to play Pickens and Najee, just nobody else there. For the Browns, really tough to know what to expect here. This is a really tough defense in Pittsburgh. You're still playing the Steelers defense because Winston will turn the ball over even if he does play well, but I don't know how many points we can really expect the Browns to score. The over-under for this game is 36, so that implied point total for Cleveland of 16 points this game. So we don't expect the Browns to go out there and put up a lot of points here. That being said, David Njoku, he's a must-start. They're going to hyper-target him. Jerry Jeudy and Cedric Tillman, both solid flex plays in my mind. The volume just should be there with the way Jameis is playing right now. And then Elijah Moore, even a low-end flex play if you really need him. Obviously better in full PPR, but I don't love it. You're praying for a touchdown. I think he's got a decent shot at 7 targets this week, so you could do worse than Elijah Moore. And then Nick Chubb, he's a low-end running back option. I really would prefer not to play him, but of course, it's really tough, especially 6 teams on bye. Everyone's always hurting at running back. I've seen a lot of people just hoping and praying to pick up a guy off waivers and play this week, and Chubb's better than those options. So you can still keep an eye on him as someone you can play, but I just don't want to. And then Jameis Winston, I'd prefer to sit him. It's just, again, low implied point total. Probably going to have some turnovers in this one. I don't want to gamble with Winston on Thursday here. Next, we got the Titans at the Texans. For the Titans, Calvin Ridley feels like a must-start in this one. He's getting hyper-targeted. Not a bad matchup. I'm still playing Ridley for sure. Tony Pollard, probably going to be in lineups here. I don't love it, but just keep an eye on Tajay Spears. He's in concussion protocol right now, so if he does miss this week, you'll see Pollard right back to his workhorse role. And, if he's getting 20, 25 touches, I don't really care how inefficient they are. You've got to play him there. And then Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, really the only other guy to talk about. He's a low-end flex play for me. This will be a game, obviously, the Titans will be trailing in, so Westbrook-Ikhine will need to be targeted. He's emerging pretty clearly as the number 2 target in this offense, so I think you can play him if you need to. Desperation out of a bye, but I just don't really love it there. And then for the Texans, Joe Mixon, he's a must-start. He's the running back 1 on the season right now. You're playing him every single week. Nico Collins, he's a must-start as well. Beyond that, though, I think I'd prefer to sit everybody else for Houston. This is a game they should win pretty handily. They shouldn't need to air the ball out a lot, and that makes you worried about guys like Tank Dell and Stroud. Dell, he's an okay flex option if you need to play him because we have so many buys. I'd play him over Nick Westbrook-Ikhine if that helps, but I don't think Dell's a must-start by any means, and in a vacuum, I'd prefer to look at him as a bench asset this week. Next, we got the Vikings at the Bears. For the Vikings, Aaron Jones is really tough. He's only played 53% of the snaps last week, but I would still play him here against Chicago. If you're going to beat Chicago's defense, it is on the ground, so Aaron Jones does have a pretty good setup here. I'd be playing him. Justin Jefferson, he's in every single week. And then Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, they're the real questions for me on Minnesota's side of the ball here. There's so many buys out there that I still think you can play them, but I really don't like it. This is a Bears defense that's been phenomenal against the pass. Albeit at tight end, they do have a bit of a weak spot, so I prefer Hawkinson to Addison. I'd rather play Hawkinson as a tight end than play Addison as a wide receiver. But really, I just don't love it. I think it's probably going to be Jefferson and Aaron Jones, and then maybe Addison or Hawkinson come through with one big play, but I don't want to play either one of them if I can avoid it. And there's just no way I'm playing Darnold. He's sort of cooled off a little bit. This is a really tough matchup. I just don't want to go there. For the Bears, I really don't want to play DeAndre Swift in this one. The Vikings are one of, if not the worst matchups for opposing running backs in fantasy this season. DeAndre Swift is currently hurt. He's dealing with a groin injury, so if he plays, you're probably looking at some sort of limited involvement. If he's inactive, you're looking at Roschon Johnson, who doesn't inspire me enough to trust him in this really tough matchup. Of course, again, with all the buys, they're in play, but I'm not optimistic about what we're going to see out of those guys this week. On the receiver side of the ball here, DJ Moore, he's a low-end option, as is Odunze. I don't expect a lot out of this Bears offense. They've been struggling. The Vikings are a fantastic defense, so I don't love it. But if you're going to beat the Vikings, it is through the air. So I think Moore and Odunze are both like solid flex options. I wouldn't want to start Keenan Allen really under any circumstance. And then Cole Kmet, he's a guy you can play if you need to. I don't love it, but he's probably still the third target in this offense. But he's a good player. It's tough to find talented players at the tight end position, so if you need to, you can play Kmet this week. Next up, we got the Cowboys at the Commanders. For the Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb, of course, he's going to be in your lineups. But other than that, I think it's okay to bench every single Cowboy. Rico Dowdle kind of seemed like he maybe got benched a little bit in the back half of last week. Just played really poorly last week. Had like 3 drops. So there's not great performance really out of anybody in Dallas, but it's just tough to know what to do with Dowdle. I'd prefer to bench him if I can, but running backs unbiased, you can play him if you need to. And then Luke Schoonmaker, we're probably not going to have Jake Ferguson this week. If you need to stream a tight end, I think you can play him, but I really don't like it. But they should need to throw the ball a lot. There should be tight end value there, but it's just like they're going to get Spanford in. They've got Schoonmaker. I don't love that, but you can play him if you need to. For the Commanders, Brian Robinson feels like a must start. We just saw the Cowboys get gashed by Joe Mixon. Brian Robinson's a starting running back for the Commanders. You're playing him for sure. And you could do worse than Eckler as well. Like, I'd prefer Eckler to Rico Dowdle this week. I think the Eckler's looked great this year. He's obviously involved in the passing game. And again, you can run on Dallas. So you can play Eckler for sure. Terry McLaurin, Jaden Daniels, I think they're probably right back in your lineups. Down week last week, but the Cowboys defense is a shell of itself right now. You're playing those guys. And then Zach Ertz, once again, he's a streaming option if you need to look there. Next, we got the Patriots at the Dolphins. For the Patriots, Ramondre, he's an RB2 for me, probably in your lineups. Hunter Henry, I think he's a solid option. I'd be looking to play him as a top 10 tight end play this week. But I'd prefer to sit pretty much everyone else for New England. All the Patriot wide receivers are really tough. Keyshawn Boutte and Demario Douglas ran the most routes for the team last week, but nobody really stood out. I don't want to play either one of those guys. And Miami's defense has looked pretty good lately, so I don't want to mess around with Drake May. For the Dolphins, Tua, he's a really solid streaming option. Personally, for me, I'm trying to decide between Tua and Purdy in a league. I'm leaning towards Purdy, but it's really close. I think they're both right on the edge of being like fringe top 10 quarterbacks this week. Devon Achane, Tyreek Hill, they're must starts. So you're playing those guys for sure. Jonnu Smith, I think you could start him for sure. He's a really solid streaming option. I would play him over Hunter Henry if I had to make that selection. And then beyond that, Jalen Waddle just needs to be on benches. He's not involved enough. You can't trust him. I mean, maybe he comes through with a big play, but we haven't seen it since like week 1, and I just don't want to go there. Waddle needs to be on benches unless you're just really down bad and just need some upside there. Next, we got the Chiefs at the Panthers. It'll be interesting to see if Pacheco plays in this one. Andy Reid says they're going to wait and see what happens there. So if he does play, I think you can play both Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco as low-end running back twos. The Panthers are one of the best matchups for opposing running backs. Chiefs should win this game pretty handily. I wouldn't be shocked if both Pacheco and Kareem Hunt scored. So you can play them both if Pacheco plays, but if Pacheco doesn't play, Kareem Hunt is absolutely a must-start, probably a top 5 play this week. Travis Kelce should be in lineups for sure. Again, really great matchup against Carolina. Kelce's had a down week last week, but I'm not worried about it. You're playing him. It also sort of feels like DeAndre Hopkins is going to score in this game. Just, should be a really great setup here for the Chiefs. I bet they go out there and try and blow out the Panthers. Don't just try and barely win there. So Hopkins, I feel like is a really solid high-end flex play this week. But I'd still sit Patrick Mahomes. It's just not a great game environment. They should be able to run the ball pretty effectively. Mahomes has just not been necessary to this team really so far, and I just don't really want to go there. And then for the Panthers, Chuba Hubbard, he's in your lineups for sure. We're going to see Jonathan Brooks this week, so just keep an eye on that. It'll be interesting to see what happens there, but I still think Chuba's a guy that you need to play. And then outside of that for Carolina, the wide receivers, let's keep an eye on them. We're going to get Adam Thielen back this week. Makes it tough to really know what to do about this team, but I think Xavier Legette's probably still the wide receiver 1. Coker's probably right there with him. It's just tough to read. I don't want to trust any of those guys, especially in a tough matchup, but it'll be interesting to see how the snap share and target share sort of shakes out so that we know what we can do going forward. That'll do it for Starts and Sits Part 1 in Week 12. Up next, I'll go over the final 7 games in Week 12, go over the remaining games, and just tell you guys who should and shouldn't be in your lineup. So stay tuned for that video. That one will come out tomorrow. Other than that, like I said earlier, if you have any specific start-sit questions, just let me know in the comments below. I'll be happy to help you guys out there. And then, other than that, made it this far in the video. Hopefully it helped you out. Just help me out and give it a thumbs up. It helps me out quite a bit. And then if you want to make sure you don't miss any of the future stuff, just make sure you subscribe to the channel. Appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you with the next one. Peace. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, check out these other videos here if you haven't. If you want more content, please feel free to follow me on Twitter at RealSteelFFB. I'll be more active on there as the season goes on. Thanks. Catch you later.